Discovery and Deception. Commander Elena Martinez stood at the observation deck of the Lunar Research Station Alpha, her eyes fixed on the strange readings flooding her holographic display. After 20 years of deep space surveillance, she had never seen anything like it. The quantum fluctuations were too precise, too structured to be natural. "Dr. Kumar, are you seeing this?" She called out to her chief scientist, who was already rushing towards her station, tablet in hand. "Yes, and I wish I wasn't," Rajesh Kumar replied, his usually calm demeanor showing cracks of concern. "These patterns suggest an artificial field surrounding our entire solar system. We've been living in a bubble, Commander. A very sophisticated one." The discovery had started with a simple anomaly, a persistent quantum echo that their new HFY sensors had detected during a routine scan of the Kuiper belt. But as they dug deeper, the truth became impossible to ignore. Earth and its surrounding space have been enclosed in what could only be described as a cosmic observation chamber. "How long?" Elena asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the revelation. "Based on the decay signature of the quantum matrix." Rajesh pulled up several graphs, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "At least 3,000 years. Maybe longer." Elena felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had achieved spaceflight, split the atom, and developed quantum computing, all while being watched like specimens in a cosmic zoo. But why? The answer came 3 days later, and it was worse than anyone had imagined. The message was embedded in the quantum field itself, encoded in a way that suggested the senders never expected humanity to find it, let alone decode it. The Galactic Council, as they called themselves, had been monitoring Earth for one simple reason: fear. "They're afraid of us," Elena announced to the emergency meeting of the World Space Defense Council, her words echoing through the underground chamber in Geneva. According to the decoded messages, human beings possess what they call dangerous evolutionary velocity. The room, filled with military leaders and scientific experts from every major nation, erupted in murmured discussions. Admiral Chen of the Pan-Asian Space Force was the first to speak up. "Dangerous to whom?" she asked, though her tone suggested she already knew the answer. Elena pulled up the translated text, its words now burned into her memory. "To them. To their entire galactic order. Apparently, most intelligent species evolve and advance at a predictable rate. But humans..." She paused, allowing herself a grim smile. "We're anything but predictable." The evidence was there in the Council's own observations. Where other species took millennia to advance from basic tools to simple machines, humanity had done it in centuries. From first flight to landing on the moon. Barely 66 years. The quantum age. Achieved in less than a century after discovering atomic theory. They'd been watching us scramble up the technological ladder like it was a sprint, not a marathon. Rajesh added, "And it terrifies them." But it was the next part of the message that had prompted this emergency meeting. The Galactic Council had reached a decision. Humanity's rapid advancement could no longer be contained by simple observation. Action was deemed necessary. "They're coming," Elena continued, her voice cutting through the tension in the room. "A fleet of what they call peacekeeping vessels has already entered the outer solar system. Their mission is to, and I quote, ensure the continued stability of galactic civilization through the implementation of technological regression protocols." Admiral Chen's face hardened. "They want to bomb us back to the Stone Age." "Or worse," Rajesh interjected. "Some of these equations suggest they have the capability to alter fundamental physical constants within a localized space. They could make advanced technology impossible within our solar system." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's rapid rise, our insatiable drive to understand and master the universe around us, had frightened the most powerful civilization in the galaxy so much that they were willing to essentially lobotomize an entire species. But they had made one crucial mistake. Elena walked to the center of the room, her movements deliberate as she activated the secure holographic projector. The image that appeared showed something that shouldn't have existed. a massive underground facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. "They've been watching us so carefully, monitoring our every move," she said, a hint of pride creeping into her voice. "But they've been watching exactly where we wanted them to look." The facility was just one of many, built in complete secrecy over the past 50 years. While the world's attention was focused on public space programs and visible military installations, a hidden network of research and development centers had been quietly pushing the boundaries of human innovation. "Project Prometheus," Elena announced. "Humanity's insurance policy against the day we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, and that the universe might not be friendly." The images showed weapons and defensive systems that seemed to defy conventional physics, ships that could bend space itself, and technology that the Galactic Council's sensors wouldn't even recognize as technology. "They think they're coming to put down a primitive species that's growing too big for its cradle," Elena concluded. "Instead, they're about to discover why you should never corner a species that can go from stone tools to quantum computing in less than 10,000 years. As the council chamber erupted into action, Elena shared a knowing look with Rajesh. The Galactic Council had meant to contain humanity's potential. Instead, they had created the perfect environment for humanity to develop in secret, hidden behind their own surveillance field. Now, humanity would show the galaxy exactly why we had evolved so quickly, not despite the pressures against us, but because of them. The coming conflict would reshape the galaxy's understanding of human potential, one way or another. The hidden arsenal. Deep beneath the Mariana Trench, in a facility that officially didn't exist, Dr. Marcus Zhang watched as decades of secret human innovation came to life. The massive chamber, carved from the ocean floor, hummed with energy that defied conventional physics. "Quantum signature masking holding steady," reported Lieutenant Sophia Patel from her station. "The Council's sensors still think this is just another deep-sea thermal vent." Marcus nodded, his attention fixed on the central display where the first of humanity's secret weapons was powering up. They called it the Nexus Drive, a propulsion system that didn't push against spacetime, but rather wove through its fabric like thread through cloth. "Begin final integration sequence," Marcus commanded. The chamber's lights dimmed as power diverted to the prototype vessel suspended in the center of the facility. Unlike conventional spacecraft, this ship had been grown rather than built, its crystalline structure incorporating biological components that could adapt and heal. "You know," Sophia said, her voice low, "when I was first recruited for Project Prometheus, I thought the Admiral was insane. Growing spaceships, neural interfaces that let pilots feel their vessels as extensions of their own bodies. It all seemed impossible." Marcus allowed himself a small smile. That's exactly why it worked. The Council's surveillance systems were programmed to detect normal technological progression. They were looking for metal ships, rocket engines, and radio waves. Instead, we gave them exactly what they expected to see while developing something entirely different. The prototype vessel, designated Phoenix 1, pulsed with internal light as its biosynthetic systems came online. Its hull, a lattice of crystal and engineered organic compounds, seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. But it wasn't just the ship's construction that was revolutionary. "Neural sync test beginning," announced Captain James Chen as he stepped into the integration chamber. The captain's body was covered in a mesh of quantum sensors, each one designed to help him merge his consciousness with the vessel's artificial neural network. As the integration proceeded, Marcus pulled up the classified files that detailed how humanity had managed to develop such advanced technology right under the Council's nose. It had started 50 years ago, when a group of scientists noticed strange patterns in human technological development. Patterns that suggested external interference. "Broadcasting standard emissions," Sophia reported. "As far as the Council is concerned, we're still arguing about whether to build a base on Mars." The deception had been massive in scale but simple in concept. While humanity's public face continued along an expected technological path, A secret coalition of nations had pooled their resources to explore radical new directions in science and engineering. They had reasoned that any sufficiently advanced aliens would be watching for specific technological markers, and so they had deliberately avoided those markers entirely. Neural sync complete. James' voice echoed through the chamber, but his body remained motionless in the integration pod. Instead, the Phoenix One shifted, its crystalline surface rippling like water. This is incredible. I can feel every part of the ship, as if it were my own body. Marcus checked the readings. The neural integration was perfect, pilot and vessel functioning as a single entity. It was the key to their strategy. While the Council's ships would be operated by crews following protocols, Earth's vessels would move with the speed and intuition of human thought. Begin weapons system check, Marcus ordered. This was the other aspect of their secret development. Weapons that didn't rely on conventional physics. Instead of trying to overcome the Council's superior technology, they had simply gone in a different direction entirely. The Phoenix One's weapon ports opened, revealing arrays that looked more like organic crystal formations than traditional weapons. Quantum disruption field stable, James reported through the ship's communications. Probability manipulation arrays online. Reality anchor generators responding normally. These weren't weapons designed to destroy ships. They were designed to alter the very rules that ships operated by. The Council's mighty fleet relied on incredibly advanced, but ultimately predictable technology. Earth's defenders would change the nature of space-time itself around them. An alert flashed across Marcus's display. The Council's fleet had passed Saturn's orbit. 6 days until they reached Earth. Around the world, other secret facilities were preparing their own vessels and weapons. The Phoenix One was just the first of many. Dr. Zhang, Sophia called out, her voice tense. We're picking up changes in the quantum containment field. I think they're preparing to lower it. Marcus straightened, his expression hardening. They're probably expecting to find a primitive species huddling on their home world, waiting to be saved from their own rapid advancement. He opened a channel to all Project Prometheus facilities worldwide. This is Dr. Zhang. Operation Breakthrough is now in effect. Prepare all vessels for emergency deployment. As alarms began to sound throughout the facility, Marcus watched the Phoenix One hover in its launch chamber, its crystalline surface reflecting the emergency lights like scattered stars. The Council had spent thousands of years watching humanity, studying us, containing us. But they had never truly understood us. They thought they were coming to save the galaxy from a dangerous species. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity's dangerous evolutionary velocity was just the beginning of what made us unique. We hadn't just evolved our bodies or our technology. We had evolved our very way of thinking beyond anything their careful, controlled civilization could predict. All stations report ready, Sophia announced. Underground facilities worldwide are going hot. Neural integration chambers are prepped for pilot sync. The Council won't know what hit them. Marcus nodded, his eyes fixed on the massive screens showing the approaching Council fleet. They came looking for specimens to contain, he said softly. Instead, they're going to find out what happens when you back humanity into a corner. The countdown to humanity's emergence had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. Breaking chains. High Admiral Zextal of the Galactic Council's containment fleet stood on the command deck of the Eternal Justice, watching Earth grow larger on the main display. After 3 millennia of observation, the time had finally come to implement the containment protocols. Status of the quantum barrier, he asked, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Beginning final dissolution sequence, his science officer reported. The humans remain unaware. Their primitive sensors show no sign of detecting our approach. Zextal clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. The humans had proven fascinating specimens, their rapid advancement both impressive and deeply troubling. But now, before they could become a true threat, the Council would ensure they developed along more acceptable lines. The first sign that something was wrong came from the quantum barrier itself. As the massive field that had contained Earth for thousands of years began to dissolve, strange fluctuations appeared in its structure. "Sir," the science officer called out, alarm evident in their harmonics. "The barrier, it's not just dissolving, it's being absorbed." Across Earth's solar system, the quantum containment field that had been humanity's cage was suddenly transformed into something else entirely. The energy wasn't dispersing as planned. It was being captured, channeled, transformed. In the depths of Earth's oceans, in bunkers beneath mountains, and in hidden orbital facilities, humanity's secret fleet came to life. The Phoenix One, now joined by dozens of its siblings, absorbed the quantum barrier's energy into their crystalline hulls, using the very power that had contained them to fuel their emergence. Captain James Chen, his consciousness fully merged with Phoenix One, felt the surge of energy through every part of his vessel's synthetic nervous system. "All vessels, execute Operation Breakthrough," he commanded, his thoughts translating instantly into ship-wide communications. "Remember your training. They don't know what we're capable of. Let's keep that advantage as long as we can." The Council fleet's first indication that something was catastrophically wrong came when their sensors suddenly detected hundreds of objects rising from Earth's oceans, emerging from hidden mountain bases, and cloaking in orbit. But these weren't the crude metal vessels they had expected from a pre-containment civilization. "Impossible," Zextal breathed, watching as the human vessels approached. Their hulls seemed to bend light itself, their movements defying every principle of physics the Council relied upon. "These readings cannot be correct. They cannot have this level of technology. We would have seen it." But that was exactly what humanity had counted on. While the Council watched for radio waves and rocket engines, Project Prometheus had developed technology that operated on entirely different principles. The crystalline bioships didn't push against space. They negotiated with it. Their weapons didn't destroy. They rewrote. Multiple human vessels approaching Defensive Line Alpha, a tactical officer reported, their voice rising in pitch. "Sir, we can't get a target lock. It's as if they're not fully present in normal spacetime." The first engagement lasted less than 3 minutes. A Council destroyer, confident in its technological superiority, attempted to engage one of the human vessels. The crystalline ship's response was to create a localized bubble of altered physics where the destroyer's advanced weapons simply couldn't function. "All vessels, maintain quantum silence," James broadcasted to Earth's fleet. "Let them see only what we want them to see." The human ships moved like schools of fish, their neural-linked pilots coordinating with inhuman precision. Where the Council fleet was rigid, hierarchical, and protocol-bound, Earth's defenders flowed like water, adapted like living things, struck like lightning. Zextal watched in growing horror as his carefully planned containment operation began to unravel. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were doing it with technology that shouldn't exist, couldn't exist according to the Council's understanding of technological progression. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, 3 more destroyers have lost all power. The human vessels, they're not destroying our ships. They're changing them somehow. Indeed, the human fleet wasn't focusing on destruction. Their weapons were designed to disable, to alter, to transform. Council ships found their advanced systems simply stopping as fundamental constants were locally rewritten. Weapons fired only to have their energy absorbed and redirected. In the Mariana Trench facility, Marcus Jean watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "They expected to find savages playing with fire," he commented to Sophia. "Instead, they're facing an entirely new form of civilization, one that evolved right under their noses." The Council fleet's formation began to break. Their tactical doctrine, developed over millennia of enforcing the galaxy's technological hierarchy, had no answers for what they faced. Every attempt to predict human movements failed. Every countermeasure proved useless against weapons that didn't play by the expected rules. "Sir," James Chen's voice echoed through the command center. The Council fleet is beginning to retreat. Should we pursue? Marcus checked the strategic display. The Council ships were indeed pulling back, their neat formation dissolving into chaos as they tried to escape the very specimens they had come to contain. Negative, Captain. Maintain defensive positions. Let them run. And let them tell the others what they found here. As the Council fleet fled past Mars, Zextal stood in his command center, his worldview shattered. The containment protocols, the careful management of species development, the very foundation of the Council's power, all of it had been upended in a single day. Send word to the Council, he ordered, his voice heavy with the weight of history shifting. The humans, they're not what we thought. They're something else entirely. And they're coming. The battle was over, but its implications were just beginning to ripple through the galaxy. Humanity hadn't just broken free. They had demonstrated a completely new path of technological development, one that the Council's mighty civilization had never imagined possible. The age of containment was over. The age of humanity's emergence had begun. Counter-strike. The Grand Council chamber on Nexus Prime had never been so chaotic. Representatives from 1,000 civilizations argued as reports of the failed containment operation spread through the galaxy. High Counselor Vexera, her crystalline form shimming with agitation, called for order. The humans did what? Demanded the Proximan representative, their bioluminescent patterns flashing with disbelief. They didn't just resist containment. Zextal's holographic form reported, his earlier confidence shattered. They had technology we couldn't even detect. Ships that moved like living things. Weapons that didn't destroy our vessels. They rewrote the laws of physics around them. While the Council descended into panic, humanity was moving. The retreat of the Council fleet hadn't brought celebration to Earth's hidden command centers. It had triggered the next phase of Operation Breakthrough. Commander Elena Martinez, now aboard the advanced command vessel Prometheus Prime, addressed the gathered fleet commanders through their neural interfaces. For 3,000 years, they kept us in a cage, studying us like lab specimens. Now we show them why that was their biggest mistake. The human fleet had grown. More vessels emerged from hidden facilities, each one a unique fusion of crystalline technology and engineered biology. But they weren't preparing for war. They were preparing for something the Council would never expect. Aggressive diplomacy. All vessels, execute Phase 2, Elena commanded. The human fleet split into 3 task forces, each with its own crucial mission. But unlike the Council's rigid battle formations, these groups flowed and shifted like schools of fish, their neural-linked pilots operating with collective intelligence that merged human intuition with machine precision. Task Force Alpha, led by Captain James Chen in the Phoenix One, headed toward the nearest Council colony world. Not to attack, but to demonstrate. Remember, James transmitted to his group, "We're not here to conquer. We're here to wake them up." The Council had expected retaliation. They had prepared for attacks on their worlds, for human vessels to behave like every other aggressive species they had contained over the millennia. Instead, humanity did something unprecedented. When Task Force Alpha arrived at the colony world of New Centauri, they didn't open fire. Instead, they began to dissolve the quantum containment fields the Council had placed around other developing civilizations. One by one, the cages fell. "This is Captain James Chen of the Earth Fleet," his message broadcast on all frequencies. "We bring greetings from humanity, and an offer of freedom to all those the Council has contained." Task Force Beta, under Dr. Marcus Jung's command, targeted the Council's primary research facilities, again, not to destroy, but to reveal. Their crystalline ships interfaced directly with the Council's quantum networks, releasing thousands of years of suppressed scientific discoveries. "Your Council didn't protect galactic civilization," Marcus's message echoed through countless worlds. "They stagnated it. Evolution, adaptation, innovation. These aren't threats to be contained. They're the fundamental rights of all sentient beings." In the Prometheus Prime's command center, Alina Washt as Task Force Gamma, led by Dr. Rajesh Kumar, implemented the most audacious part of their plan. Using technology developed in secret beneath Earth's oceans, they began to establish a new kind of network between worlds, one based on the same principles as their neural-linked ships. The Council built their power on isolation and control. Alina transmitted to all Earth forces. We'll replace it with connection and cooperation. On Nexus Prime, the Council's panic turned to astonishment as reports flooded in. The humans weren't destroying their civilization. They were transforming it. Quantum barriers fell. Long-contained species made first contact with each other. New technologies, developed in secret on Earth, spread through the galaxy like seeds in the wind. "This is impossible," High Counselor Vexra whispered, watching as millennia of careful control unraveled in days. "Why aren't they seeking revenge? Why aren't they destroying us?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Sarah Foster, one of Earth's leading xenoanthropologists, addressed the Council directly through their own communication network. "Because that's not who we are. Humanity didn't evolve quickly just because of our biology. We evolved quickly because we learn, we adapt, and most importantly, we share." The Council chambers fell silent as Sarah continued. "You saw our rapid development as a threat to galactic stability, but you never asked yourselves why we advanced so quickly. It wasn't because we were special. It was because we understood something you forgot eons ago. True strength doesn't come from containing potential. It comes from unleashing it." As the human fleet continued its mission, more and more civilizations began to break free from the Council's containment. But instead of the chaos the Council had feared, something remarkable happened. These civilizations, inspired by humanity's example, began to collaborate, to share, to grow together. Alina watched from the Prometheus Prime as the galaxy transformed. They thought they were creating a safe, stable universe by putting everyone in boxes, she mused to her crew. Instead, they created the perfect conditions for a revolution, not of violence, but of innovation and cooperation. The counterstrike wasn't won with weapons, but with ideas. Humanity hadn't just broken free from their own cage. They had sparked a galactic renaissance, proving that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't containment, but connection. As the old order crumbled, a new one began to emerge, not built on control and fear, but on the very principles that had allowed humanity to advance so quickly: adaptation, innovation, and most importantly, the freedom to evolve. New Dawn. 1 year after Operation Breakthrough, the galaxy was unrecognizable. The Great Hall of the newly established Galactic Concordat on Mars buzzed with activity as representatives from hundreds of formerly contained civilizations gathered for the first assembly of free worlds. Commander Elena Martinez, now Earth's primary representative to the Concordat, stood at the crystalline podium. The chamber itself was a testament to humanity's new approach to technology. Its walls were alive with neural interfaces, allowing every species present to communicate directly, sharing thoughts and emotions across the barriers of biology and language. 1 year ago, Elena began, her words translating instantly through the neural network. "We discovered we were living in a cage. Today, we gather not as prisoners, but as partners in the greatest experiment our galaxy has ever known." The chamber's displays showed the transformation spreading across known space. The Council's containment fields, once tools of suppression, had been repurposed into a vast communication network. Ships utilizing Earth's crystalline biotechnology moved freely between stars, carrying knowledge and culture instead of weapons. Dr. Marcus Zhang, leading the new Concordat Scientific Division, presented the latest data. "The rate of technological and social advancement across former contained worlds has exceeded our most optimistic projections," he reported. "When given freedom to innovate and collaborate, species naturally tend toward cooperation, not conflict." The evidence was undeniable. The Proximans, freed from their quantum cage, had already revolutionized energy production by combining their natural crystalline technology with human neural interface designs. The Centaurians' unique understanding of biological engineering had merged seamlessly with Earth's biotechnology, creating medical breakthroughs that benefited all species. But perhaps most surprisingly, many former council members had joined the Concordat, bringing with them millennia of accumulated knowledge. Among them was former High Counselor Vexra, who had undergone a profound change in perspective. "We thought we were protecting the galaxy," Vexra addressed the assembly, her crystalline form resonating with emotion. "Instead, we were stifling it. Humanity showed us that true stability doesn't come from control. It comes from growth, from change, from the freedom to evolve together." Captain James Chen, his consciousness still linked to the Phoenix One, reported from the edges of known space. The combined fleet of Earth and formerly contained civilizations wasn't patrolling for threats. They were exploring, pushing the boundaries of known space with technology that merged the best aspects of all their cultures. "We've discovered 3 new developing civilizations," James announced through the neural network. "Unlike the old council, we're not containing them. We're welcoming them, offering them the chance to join our journey from the beginning." Dr. Sarah Foster, who had become the leading expert on interspecies cultural development, shared her latest findings. "What we're seeing isn't just technological advancement," she explained. "It's the evolution of civilization itself. When species are free to develop naturally and share their discoveries, they don't trend toward conflict. They trend toward symbiosis." The proof was in the numbers. Trade had replaced tensions. Cultural exchange had replaced containment. The galaxy was experiencing an unprecedented renaissance of art, science, and philosophy as countless species shared their unique perspectives and innovations. But perhaps the most profound change was in how species viewed themselves and each other. The Council's hierarchy of technological development had been replaced by an understanding that every civilization, every species, had something unique to contribute. "A year ago, we broke free from our cage," Elena continued, addressing the assembly. "But we didn't stop there. We didn't seek revenge. We didn't try to become the new council. Instead, we did what humanity has always done best. We adapted, we innovated, and most importantly, we shared." The displays showed the spread of the neural network, now spanning thousands of light years, connecting civilizations that had been isolated for millennia. But unlike the Council's containment fields, this network was built on voluntary participation and mutual benefit. "The Council feared our rapid evolution," Elena concluded, "but they never understood its true source. Humanity didn't advance quickly because we were special. We advanced quickly because we understood something fundamental about the universe, that the greatest leaps forward come not from competition, but from cooperation. Not from isolation, but from connection. Not from fear of change, but from embracing it." As she finished speaking, the neural network pulsed with emotions from hundreds of species: agreement, hope, determination. The age of containment was over. The age of collaboration had begun. In Earth orbit, the Prometheus Prime maintained its vigilant watch, its crystalline hull shimmering with the combined knowledge of 1,000 worlds. But it no longer watched for threats. Instead, it watched for opportunities, new civilizations to welcome, new ideas to share, new frontiers to explore. The galaxy had been transformed not by force, but by the very thing the Council had feared most: humanity's dangerous evolutionary velocity. But in the end, that velocity hadn't led to destruction. It had led to something far more powerful: a galaxy united not by control, but by the freedom to evolve together. As the Assembly of Free Worlds concluded its first session, the stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if reflecting the dawn of a new era. An era where the only barriers were those of distance and imagination, and where every species was free to reach for their full potential, not alone, but together.